The metallic walls of Space Station Aurora vibrated as another alien ship dropped out of hyperspace. Commander James stood at the observation deck, his hand resting on Max's small head. The 3-month-old German Shepherd puppy sat quietly beside him, watching the massive ships appear one by one through the reinforced glass window. "Sir, we're counting 15 warships now," Officer Tom reported from his console. "They're arranging themselves in an attack formation." James nodded, his eyes fixed on the largest vessel, a dark purple ship that looked like a cross between a shark and a morning star. Its surface bristled with weapon ports, and its hull bore marks of previous battles. The other ships positioned themselves around it like a protective shell. "How many people do we have on the station right now?" James asked, scratching behind Max's ears. 312 civilians, 100 military personnel," Tom answered, his fingers dancing across the holographic display. "The nearest reinforcements are at least 2 days away." The puppy whined softly, pressing against James's leg. For a moment, the commander allowed himself a small smile. He had brought Max to the station just a week ago, thinking the pup would help with the loneliness of deep space assignment. Now they might be facing humanity's first alien contact, and it wasn't looking friendly. The main screen flickered to life without warning. A tall figure appeared, its scaled skin reflecting purple light. 4 yellow eyes blinked independently of each other, and what seemed like tentacles moved slowly around its neck area. "Attention, human station." The alien spoke in perfect English, making everyone on the bridge freeze. "I am Admiral Red of the Crimson Fleet. Your species has entered our territory without permission. Surrender your station or face destruction." James straightened his uniform and stepped forward, making sure he was in view of the camera. Max followed, staying close to his heel just as they had practiced. "Admiral Red, I am Commander James of Space Station Aurora. We were unaware this was claimed territory. Our star charts show this as unclaimed space." The alien commander's eyes narrowed. "Your ignorance does not excuse your trespass. You have 1 hour to surrender, or we will be forced to demonstrate our power." The admiral's eyes drifted down to Max, and for a moment, something like confusion crossed his alien features. "What is that small creature beside you?" "This is Max, my companion," James replied calmly. "He's what we call a dog, specifically, a puppy." Admiral Red leaned forward, all 4 eyes focusing on the small German shepherd. "You keep a predator next to you, willingly?" "Dogs have been humanity's companions for thousands of years," James explained, watching the alien's reaction carefully. "They're loyal, intelligent, and friendly." The admiral made a sound that might have been a scoff. "If you think your small predator impresses us, wait until you see what we have. Your time starts now, Commander. 1 hour." The screen went dark. James turned to his crew, who had been watching the exchange in tense silence. "Well, that could have gone better. Tom, start evacuation procedures for all non-essential personnel. Dr. Wilson, I want full scans of their ships. Focus on their flagship. Something about their reaction to Max feels important." "Sir," Dr. Wilson spoke up from her station, "I'm detecting unusual energy readings from their flagship. There's some sort of large containment field in their central hold." Max barked suddenly, his ears perking up as he stared out the window at the alien flagship. James had worked with enough military dogs to know that his pup had sensed something they couldn't. "Whatever they're holding in there," James mused, "I think Max knows it's alive." He knelt beside his puppy, who was now wagging his tail while still staring at the alien ship. And judging by his reaction, it might not be as threatening as they think it is. The next 50 minutes passed in organized chaos as the station prepared for both evacuation and potential combat. James stayed on the bridge, watching the alien ships while making plans. Max remained by his side, occasionally tilting his head, as if he could hear something from the alien flagship. "Sir," Tom called out, "they're hailing us again." 10 minutes before their deadline. James straightened up, adjusting his uniform. Whatever threat they were about to face, He had a strange feeling that bringing Max to the station might turn out to be more important than anyone could have guessed. "Put them through," he ordered, as Max sat perfectly at attention beside him. "Let's see what kind of beast they want to unleash." The main screen flickered back to life, showing Admiral Red's imposing figure. This time, he stood in what appeared to be a massive containment chamber. Behind him, shadows moved against a faintly glowing purple barrier. "Commander James," the alien's voice carried a note of pride. "Before you make your final decision about surrender, let me show you why resistance would be futile." He raised one of his scaled hands, gesturing toward the barrier. "Behold, the pride of our battle fleet, the Beast." The force field dimmed, revealing a creature that made several bridge crew members gasp. It stood nearly 3 meters tall at the shoulder, with midnight black fur that seemed to absorb light. 6 legs, each ending in massive claws, supported its muscular frame. The creature's head housed 3 sets of glowing red eyes, and 2 rows of teeth lined its elongated jaw. But it was Max's reaction that caught James's attention. Instead of cowering or growling, the German Shepherd puppy's tail started wagging furiously. He let out a small, excited bark at the screen. "Silence that creature," Admiral Red demanded, but there was an edge of confusion in his voice. "As you can see, we have bred the ultimate weapon. The Beast has destroyed entire armies, torn through battleship hulls, and struck fear into the hearts of all who oppose us." On the screen, the Beast paced behind its barrier, but something about its movement caught James's eye. He'd spent enough time around dogs to recognize certain behaviors. The creature's posture, despite its fearsome appearance, didn't show aggression. "Interesting weapon you have there, Admiral," James replied calmly, watching as Max continued to wag his tail. "Though I notice it seems rather energetic." The alien commander's tentacles writhed in what might have been irritation. "The Beast is not energetic. It is a killing machine. Watch." He pressed something on a control panel. A robotic target drone appeared in the containment chamber. The Beast immediately charged at it, but instead of tearing it apart, it pounced playfully, batting at the drone with one massive paw. The drone bounced away, and the Beast chased after it, its multiple tails wagging. Admiral Red quickly cut that camera feed, but not before James and his crew saw what had happened. The commander fought to keep a straight face. "As you can see," the Admiral continued, trying to maintain his threatening tone, "the Beast destroys everything in its path." "Of course," James agreed diplomatically, while Max let out another excited bark. "Admiral, would you be interested in a different approach to this situation? I propose a direct meeting. You can demonstrate the Beast's capabilities in person." All 4 of the Admiral's eyes blinked in surprise. "You want to be in the same room as the Beast? Are you suicidal, Commander?" "Not at all. In fact, I'd like to bring Max along." James placed his hand on the puppy's head. "Consider it a gesture of good faith." The alien commander stared at them for a long moment. His tentacles twisted in what the human crew was beginning to recognize as confusion. "You would risk your life, and that of your small predator, just to prove a point." "Sometimes the best way to understand each other is through direct interaction," James replied. "What do you have to lose? If the Beast is as dangerous as you say, you'll have proved your point quite effectively." Admiral Red's scaled face was hard to read, but his posture suggested he was intrigued. "Very well, Commander. You may board our flagship in 1 hour, but know that if this is some sort of trick, the Beast will not hesitate to destroy you." The screen went dark again. James looked down at Max, who was still wagging his tail and staring at where the image of the Beast had been. "Sir," Officer Tom spoke up, "are you sure about this? That thing looks like it could swallow Max in one bite." James smiled, scratching behind Max's ears. "Did any of you notice? That Beast was playing with the drone, not attacking it, and Max here knew it immediately. He knelt beside his puppy, Sometimes the scariest-looking creatures are just big softies looking for a friend. As the crew prepared for the upcoming meeting, James couldn't help but wonder if humanity's first alien conflict might be resolved not through weapons or threats, but through a puppy's natural ability to make friends with anything that could wag a tail, even if that anything happened to be an alien superweapon with 6 legs and 3 sets of eyes. Dr. Anna stood in the station's research lab, her eyes fixed on the recorded footage of the beast. She had been analyzing its behavior patterns for the past 30 minutes, comparing them to Earth's canine database. Commander James and Max sat nearby, watching as she worked through her findings. "It's remarkable," she said, freezing a frame where the beast was batting at the drone. "Despite its terrifying appearance, every single behavior it displays matches perfectly with typical canine play patterns." She pointed to several markers on the screen. "Look at the relaxed jaw, the bouncing movement, even the play bow it did before pouncing." James nodded, watching as Max dozed peacefully at his feet. "That's what I suspected. The aliens have somehow created or evolved what's essentially a giant space dog, but they have no idea what dogs actually are." The laboratory door slid open as Officer Tom entered, carrying a data pad. "Sir, we've completed the biological scans from the transmission. You're going to want to see this." He handed the pad to Dr. Anna, who immediately began scrolling through the data. Her eyes widened. "This is incredible. The beast's DNA structure, while obviously alien, has remarkable similarities to Earth's canines. It's as if parallel evolution took place, but on a massive scale." James leaned forward, interested. "So you're saying they accidentally created something similar to dogs?" "More than that," Dr. Anna replied, pulling up more data on the main screen. "Based on these readings, the beast isn't just similar to dogs. It's at about the same level of intelligence. And look at these hormone readings. High levels of oxytocin precursors in its brain structure." "The love hormone," James mused, reaching down to pet Max, who had woken up and was watching them intently. "The same thing that helps dogs bond with humans." Officer Tom looked nervous. "But how does this help us? We're still facing an alien fleet that's threatening to destroy the station." James stood up, pacing the lab as he thought. "They see the beast as a weapon because that's all they understand. Their society has no concept of companion animals." He stopped, looking at the frozen image of the beast on the screen. "They've created something capable of deep emotional bonds, but they're treating it like a mindless killing machine." "Sir," Dr. Anna interjected, "these scans also show signs of stress in the beast. Elevated cortisol levels, irregular sleep patterns. It's not thriving in their military environment." Max suddenly stood up, walking to the screen showing the beast's image. He placed one paw on the wall beneath it and whined softly. "Even Max can tell something's wrong," James said. "He's been trying to tell us since the first transmission. That's not a monster they're dealing with. It's a lonely creature that needs companionship." Dr. Anna nodded enthusiastically. "This could be our advantage. If we can show them the beast's true nature, we might be able to change their whole perspective." James finished. He turned to Officer Tom. "How long until our meeting on their flagship?" 20 minutes, sir." James knelt beside Max, checking the small spacesuit they had modified for him. "Time to get you ready, boy. You're about to become an ambassador for Earth's dogs." He looked up at his officers. "Dr. Anna, I want you monitoring all biological data during the meeting. Tom, make sure our emergency teleport systems are ready, just in case." "Sir," Tom asked, "what exactly are you planning?" James smiled, attaching Max's suit leash. "I'm planning to show Admiral Red that his ultimate weapon just needs a friend." He checked Max's suit one final time. Sometimes the biggest misunderstandings come from seeing only what we expect to see, not what's actually there. As they prepared to leave the lab, Dr. Anna called out, "Commander, be careful. Even if the beast is similar to dogs, it's still an enormous alien creature we know very little about." "Noted," James replied, watching Max trot happily beside him in his spacesuit. But I trust Max's judgment. He knew what the beast was before any of our scans did. He paused at the door. Sometimes the best scientific instruments we have are the instincts of a puppy who just wants to make a new friend. The station's corridors seemed quieter than usual as James and Max made their way to the shuttle bay, ready to face whatever waited for them on the alien flagship. Behind them, Dr. Anna and Officer Tom exchanged worried glances, hoping their commander's trust in a puppy's instincts wouldn't get them all killed. The shuttle docked with a soft thud against the alien flagship's hull. James stood in the airlock with Max, both wearing their spacesuits. The German Shepherd puppy sat calmly at his heel, seemingly untroubled by the strange environment or his protective gear. "Remember," Dr. Anna's voice crackled through the comm, "we have emergency teleport locked on both of you. Any sign of real danger, and we'll pull you out immediately." "Understood," James replied, watching the airlock indicators cycle from red to green. "Though something tells me we won't need it." The inner doors slid open with a hiss, revealing a corridor bathed in purple light. 2 alien guards stood waiting, their scaled armor gleaming. They carried what looked like energy weapons, but their 4 eyes were fixed on Max with obvious confusion. "Follow us," one guard commanded. "Admiral Red awaits in the containment chamber." As they walked through the ship's corridors, James noticed how other alien crew members stopped to stare at Max. Some pressed against the walls, while others leaned forward with obvious curiosity. The puppy, for his part, maintained perfect heel position, occasionally wagging his tail at particularly interested onlookers. They entered a massive chamber, easily the size of half the station's main deck. Admiral Red stood on a raised platform, his tentacles moving slowly as he watched their approach. Behind him, the massive containment field hummed, and within it, the beast paced. "Commander James," the Admiral's voice echoed, "I see you actually brought your small predator. Either you are very brave or very foolish." James stopped at a respectful distance, Max sitting perfectly beside him. "Sometimes the line between bravery and foolishness is just a matter of perspective, Admiral." The beast had noticed their arrival. It pressed against the energy barrier, all 6 of its legs shifting with obvious excitement. Its 3 sets of eyes focused intently on Max. "Release the beast," Admiral Red commanded suddenly. Several of his crew members stepped back in alarm. "Sir," one of them protested, "the containment field." "Release it," the Admiral ordered again. "Let us see how brave our human guests truly are." The energy barrier flickered and disappeared. The massive creature stepped forward, its claws clicking against the metal floor. Up close, it was even more impressive. Standing fully upright, it could have easily looked into the windows of a second-story building. Max's reaction surprised everyone except James. The puppy's tail began wagging furiously, and he looked up at James with pleading eyes. "It's okay, boy," James said softly, unclipping the leash. "Go say hello." The alien crew held their breath as the tiny German Shepherd puppy trotted toward the enormous beast. Admiral Red's tentacles writhed with what might have been anticipation or concern. The beast lowered its massive head, bringing all 6 red eyes level with Max. For a moment, the chamber was completely silent. Then Max did something that made several alien crew members gasp. He play-bowed, his tail wagging in invitation. The beast's response was immediate. Despite its enormous size, it dropped into a perfect play-bow of its own, all 3 tails wagging in sync. Max gave an excited bark and darted to the side, and the beast followed, moving with surprising grace for its size. "Impossible," Admiral Red whispered, watching as his fearsome weapon engaged in a game of chase with a puppy barely larger than one of its paws. "Not impossible," James replied, stepping up beside the Admiral. "Natural. The beast isn't a weapon, Admiral. It's a highly social, intelligent creature that needs companionship and play, just like our dogs back on Earth." They watched as Max and the beast circled the chamber, playing an enthusiastic game of tag. The beast was incredibly gentle, carefully controlling its massive body to avoid harming its tiny new friend. All this time, Admiral Red said slowly, his 4 eyes tracking the playing creatures, "We thought we had created the ultimate warrior, but we actually created a friend." James finished. "You created a being capable of forming deep emotional bonds, but you never gave it the chance to do so." He glanced at the Admiral. "Sometimes the most powerful force isn't the ability to destroy, but the ability to connect." The alien commander continued to watch as the beast flopped onto its side, allowing Max to climb triumphantly onto its massive chest. For the first time, James saw what might have been a smile cross the Admiral's scaled face. The alien crew gathered around the edges of the containment chamber, watching in amazement as Max continued his playful interaction with the beast. The massive creature had rolled onto its back, all 6 legs in the air, while the German Shepherd puppy confidently gave it a belly rub with his small paw. "I don't understand," Admiral Red spoke, his voice quieter than before. "We spent years training it to be aggressive, years of combat conditioning. How can your tiny creature undo all that in mere minutes?" James smiled as the beast let out a rumbling sound that was unmistakably a purr. "You can't override basic nature, Admiral. What you see now is the beast's true personality. The aggression you saw before was probably just frustration and loneliness." Dr. Anna's voice came through James's comm. "Commander, the biological readings are fascinating. The beast's stress hormones have dropped by 80%, and its oxytocin levels are skyrocketing. It's experiencing the same biochemical bonding process that occurred when dogs first became human companions thousands of years ago." The beast suddenly stood up, causing several alien crew members to reach for their weapons. But instead of attacking, it trotted to a corner of the chamber and returned with something in its mouth, a massive metal sphere that must have weighed several tons. To everyone's surprise, it dropped the sphere in front of Max, then backed up expectantly, all 3 tails wagging. "It wants to play fetch," James explained, chuckling as Max attempted to move the enormous ball with his nose. The beast, seeing the puppy's difficulty, carefully used 1 claw to roll the ball to a more manageable size. "Fetch." Admiral Red's tentacles twisted in confusion. A game Earth dogs love. They retrieve objects their human friends throw. It builds bonds and provides mental stimulation. James watched as Max barked happily at the beast. "Your ultimate weapon just wants someone to play with." A younger alien officer stepped forward hesitantly. "Sir, this matches some of our early observations. Before the combat training, the beast would often bring objects to its handlers, but we interpreted it as aggressive behavior." The beast had now laid down at Max's level, carefully matching the puppy's playful movements. Its massive size made the gentle behavior even more impressive. "Look at its body language," James pointed out. "Every movement is calculated not to harm. That's not just intelligence, it's emotional awareness. The beast understands Max is smaller and adjusts its behavior accordingly." Admiral Red stepped closer to the playing creatures, his 4 eyes wide with what looked like wonder. "All this time, we had something extraordinary, and we tried to turn it into a weapon." The beast noticed the Admiral's approach, and to everyone's surprise, one of its tails started wagging specifically in his direction. Max used this moment to climb onto the beast's back, causing the massive creature to rumble with contentment. "Sir," the young officer spoke again. There were signs. The beast would sometimes sit outside crew quarters at night, making those rumbling sounds. We thought it was practicing intimidation calls. It was lonely, James finished, trying to make friends the only way it knew how. Dr. Anna's voice came through again. "Commander, these readings are remarkable. The beast's brain patterns while interacting with Max mirror those of domesticated Earth dogs almost exactly. It's like finding a cosmic evolutionary cousin." The beast had now settled into a comfortable position, with Max curled up between its massive front paws. Both creatures looked completely at peace. Admiral Red turned to James, his tentacles moving slowly in what seemed like deep thought. Our greatest weapon is actually an advanced social creature capable of friendship and gentle play. He paused. This changes everything we thought we knew. Sometimes, James replied, watching Max doze off against the beast's fur. The most powerful discoveries aren't about finding new ways to fight, but new ways to connect. The chamber fell quiet except for the soft sounds of the beast's contented rumbling and Max's peaceful breathing. The alien crew watched in amazement as their fearsome superweapon gently nuzzled the sleeping puppy with one of its massive snouts. In that moment, looking at the unlikely friendship before them, both humans and aliens began to understand that they had stumbled upon something far more valuable than any weapon. They had discovered a bridge between their species, built by the simple, universal language of companionship. 2 hours later, the ship's main conference room had been transformed into an impromptu classroom. James stood before a holographic display showing images from Earth's history, while Admiral Red and his senior staff sat watching. In the corner, the beast lay curled around Max, both of them attentively following the presentation. Humans first began domesticating wolves over 15,000 years ago, James explained, showing ancient cave paintings of humans hunting alongside dogs. What started as a survival partnership evolved into one of the deepest bonds between species in Earth's history. But how did you overcome their predatory nature? Asked one of the alien scientists, her 4 eyes fixed on the display. We didn't overcome it, James replied. We worked with it. Dogs still have their hunting instincts, but they choose to use those abilities to help us. He gestured to a series of images showing working dogs. They protect our homes, help us hunt, find lost people, and even assist in medical detection. The beast raised its massive head, all 6 eyes focusing on the images with obvious interest. Max took this opportunity to playfully pounce on one of its tails, causing the enormous creature to let out a gentle rumbling laugh. Remarkable, Admiral Red murmured, watching their interaction. We spent decades trying to enhance the beast's aggressive tendencies, never realizing its true potential lay in its capacity for cooperation and bonding. James nodded, switching to images of therapy dogs. On Earth, dogs aren't just working partners, they're emotional support systems. They can sense human emotions and provide comfort during times of stress or sadness. As if on cue, the beast noticed one of the younger alien officers looking particularly overwhelmed by all the new information. It carefully stood up, walked over to her, and gently placed its massive head in her lap. The officer froze for a moment before hesitantly placing a hand on its fur. The beast's 3 tails began wagging immediately. Just like that, James said, smiling. They naturally want to comfort and connect. The beast has probably been trying to do this all along. The alien officer's tentacles relaxed as she continued petting the beast. Its fur, it's so soft. We always wore protective gear around it before. We never just touched it. Dr. Anna's voice came through the room's comm system. The beast's biochemical readings are fascinating. It's producing the same calming pheromones that Earth dogs release when comforting their human companions. The parallel evolution is extraordinary. Admiral Red stood up, his posture showing what humans were learning to recognize as deep thought. Our entire military strategy was based on the beast's capabilities as a weapon. But its true power lies in something we never even considered: the ability to form emotional bonds. James clicked to the next image, showing a family with their dogs. On Earth, dogs aren't just companions, they become family members. They share our homes, our lives, our joys and sorrows. They make us better beings. The beast had returned to its spot with Max, but now several alien crew members had gathered closer, cautiously reaching out to pet both creatures. Max's tail wagged furiously as he soaked up the attention, while the beast carefully nuzzled each new friend. "Commander," Admiral Red said suddenly, "we need everything you have on dog care, training, and cohabitation. Our entire approach to the Beast program must be reconsidered. He paused, watching as one of his officers actually smiled while scratching the Beast's chin. Perhaps our entire approach to warfare needs reconsidering. James nodded, understanding the magnitude of this moment. We'll share all our knowledge about animal companionship. This could be the beginning of something incredible for both our species. The meeting continued well into the ship's night cycle, with humans sharing millennia of accumulated knowledge about the human-canine bond. The aliens learned about training through positive reinforcement, the importance of play, and the deep emotional satisfaction of caring for another species. Through it all, Max and the Beast demonstrated every principle in real time: playing, sharing, showing affection, and proving that friendship transcends species, size, and even the vast distances between stars. As James watched the Beast gently share its massive toy with Max, he realized they had achieved something far greater than preventing a war. They had opened the door to a whole new understanding between species, all thanks to a puppy who saw past fearsome appearances to recognize a kindred spirit in need of a friend. The hangar bay of Space Station Aurora bustled with activity as crews from both species worked together to load data crystals containing Earth's complete database on animal companionship. Through the massive viewing windows, the once threatening alien fleet now floated peacefully alongside the station. Admiral Red stood with Commander James, watching as the Beast helped move heavy crates with its massive strength, carefully following Max's excited supervision of the work. "It still amazes me," the Admiral said, his tentacles moving gently in what humans now recognized as contentment. "In 3 days, the Beast has learned more commands and shown more intelligence than in years of combat training." James smiled as the Beast paused its work to let Max climb onto its back. "That's because you're working with its nature now, not against it. Intelligence flourishes with trust and positive reinforcement." Nearby, Dr. Anna was conducting final scans with her alien counterparts. "The physiological changes are remarkable," she reported. "The Beast's stress markers are completely normal now, and its social bonding hormones are at optimal levels. It's thriving." The Beast demonstrated this by carefully picking up Max in its massive jaws, like a mother dog carrying a puppy, and gently placing him on a higher platform so they could be at eye level. The alien crew members watching this no longer showed any fear, only fascination and growing affection. "The Council has approved our proposal," Admiral Red announced. "We're establishing an interspecies companion program. The Beast will be the first of many to be properly trained as a companion rather than a weapon." He paused, watching as one of his crew members taught the Beast a new trick, rewarding it with a massive treat. "They've also approved my personal request." "Oh," James raised an eyebrow. "The Beast will be staying with me." The Admiral's 4 eyes showed clear emotion. "As what you humans call a pet. Though given its size, it might be more accurate to say I'll be staying with the Beast." James laughed. "Congratulations, Admiral. Though you might want to give it a proper name now. Something other than the Beast." The Admiral's tentacles moved in what was definitely happiness. "I was thinking of friend. In our language, it's Koru." At the sound of its new name, the Beast, now Koru, looked up and let out a happy rumble. "Perfect," James nodded. "And based on how quickly word has spread through your fleet, I'd say Koru won't be the only companion animal in your society for long." It was true. Throughout the hangar, alien crew members were eagerly studying pet care manuals, watching videos of Earth dogs, and asking questions about different breeds and training techniques. Several had already submitted requests to visit Earth's dog breeding centers. "We came here looking to expand our territory," Admiral Red mused, watching Koru and Max play with a giant ball. "Instead, we expanded our understanding of what's possible between species." The final preparations for the fleet's departure were completed as the day's cycle wound down. Koru had made itself comfortable in the Admiral's personal ship, though it insisted on making farewell rounds to all its new friends first. When it reached James and Max, Koru lowered its massive head to gently nuzzle the puppy who had changed everything. Max responded with enthusiastic licks, his tail wagging so hard his whole body shook. "Don't worry," James told them both. "We've already scheduled regular diplomatic visits. These playdates will continue." As the alien fleet prepared to depart, their weapons now powered down and their minds open to new possibilities, Admiral Red turned to James one last time. "You know, Commander, when I ordered Unleash the Beast, I never imagined this would be the result." James watched as Max sat at attention, offering a final bark goodbye to his enormous new friend. Sometimes the most powerful weapons aren't the ones that destroy, but the ones that bring us together. The fleet departed in a spectacular display of lights, looking far less threatening than when they had arrived. Station Aurora's crew gathered at the windows to wave goodbye, especially to Koru, who pressed its massive face against the flagship's viewport, all three tails wagging. As the ships disappeared into hyperspace, James looked down at Max, who was still watching the spot where his friend had vanished. "Good boy," he said softly. "You just helped create peace across the stars." Max's tail wagged once, and he looked up at his human with those wise puppy eyes that seemed to say he had known all along that this was exactly how things would turn out.